We are back with another classic film review. We're not going to do an
Mhm.
IMDb, but today we are talking about the magnetic monster, as you can see in the kibosh, the Chiron, I should say,
Mm.
that is 1953. You know, they said that this was one of the best sci-fi films in the 50s. What do you think about that statement?
Absurd. That is absurd. Listen, because for a long time, especially when I was a kid, I used to watch like old classic black and white movies with my sister
Hmm.
on like Turner Classics. Like we used to love that. So I've seen a lot of classic movies from the 40s, 50s, 60s, like all that stuff. And this movie I feel like the writers read a science book or they read a textbook somewhere and they're like, let's make a science movie. Like it did things didn't make sense. Like they're the tools they were using, like you wouldn't use that for that. Like is this it's like I'm a nerd, I'm an old school nerd, I'm safe to admit it. But like I went to science camps, man. I'm like, yo, what the hell are these guys doing? This is absurd. What are you guys doing is silly as far as sciencey. I think that the thing that kind of took me out of the movie was that there was no monster. Like I was waiting for something to hop
Monster
out
in
the
the title.
bushes, right? Like a Magneto thing. It
yo,
looked like an
yo.
actual guy with we got metal all over him. He's just going through the thing like Frankenstein. I was waiting for that. And so when it was just like, oh, we just got some plutonium, I was like, oh, all right. I was like, all right,
That's
okay,
it.
that's it.
Now it's so weird because
Okay.
it was just like, okay, and we said this offline. They kept
Mm.
saying that this it's basically radiation, plutonium, right? It's just like
Yes, it's radiation.
it's getting bigger, right? And I'm
Yes.
just like, where? I mean, I still saw like something like this that they were looking at, and I'm just like, how is it getting bigger? Is it getting bigger like in under a microscope, or it's not getting? I mean,
Mhm.
and then the way they were transporting this, right? This
Yeah.
okay, so check it out. This was supposed to be
Yeah.
super dangerous. This could like, destroy
Mhm.
the world. They were
Yes. That's
trans
how they're attacking, like, it was gonna kill the world.
right,
Everyone's gonna die.
exactly. So they were
Yeah.
transporting this magnetic monster in a
Mhm.
small metal canister, about maybe that big, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just like, well, if it's so, you know, powerful and if it's so contagious, like why are you
Mhm.
guys carrying around in like a container? Like yo, where's the
The
monster?
logic wasn't there.
Where's the
You know
monster for one?
yeah. No, because like, I think about these old classic movies where they got these grandiose ideas, but, like, there's the people pull stuff off, like, I think the one the day the Earth stood still,
Yeah,
that's, like, 1950 something,
yeah, that
but it
was
looks
great.
like a big epic thing
That
that's
was
going
epic.
on
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, it look like they have different sets, they're doing things, it looks like this is crazy
War of the
going on
Worlds
here.
was pretty good too,
More
right?
War of the Worlds,
Mhm.
another example of a old thing, they pulled it off, it makes it look like this crazy thing's going on. This movie, I think the budget must have been like $20 in a Tic Tac, like, they had no money.
Like
They had no
1999,
money,
you know? I'm just
right?
like, yo, the budget for this joint, I'm like, okay, first of all, the monster was this plutonium that when it needed to eat, it sort of magnetized everything, right? So you had all of this stuff. It killed
Yes.
4 people. It collapsed a
It
few
killed it was
buildings.
murdering people, like, it's way it's
But and it
murdering
was just like
everything.
it's gonna like extend its magnetic arms. I'm just like the premise for this classic film today
Mhm.
because we don't in like 1953 it may have been pretty interesting, innovative even, huh?
Yes.
Yeah,
Especially because I don't think people realize where this stuff comes from, like,
right.
in magnetism, whatever, like,
Mhm,
they're like, "This plutonium can do that?" Like,
right.
like yeah.
And it's kind
It's
of
one of those
weird,
things where, yeah, you don't know about, so you can sell it to people who don't really pay attention to these
right?
things.
And if it was like in 1953, so we know like
Mhm.
in the Second World War, the atomic bomb was dropped. So scientists understood plutonium. At
Yeah, they
that
had a
point
very
in
good idea of how that
right,
works.
like in 53, I think the Soviet had acquired like a nuclear, an atomic bomb as well, or if it's like, or
Mhm.
maybe it's like 1955, but they were working on it.
It was
People,
around that time. They were
yeah,
there. Everybody was working on it around that time.
right.
Yeah,
People understood plutonium, right? And
yeah. What it does and what it doesn't do.
right.
They understood that.
And to call this thing a monster, I kept trying to wait for this thing to
The
see,
thing.
right? And even like,
Yeah.
the movie we the classic movie, the last classic movie we reviewed was The Blob. We saw The
Mhm.
Blob. We saw The Blob get
Yes.
bigger.
Yes. It looked like a thing. Even
Right.
though it's ghetto and super corny, it looked
Right.
like a thing
It was like,
still.
oh, that's The Blob. I see it right there, right? And it was just like,
Yeah.
so with this whole like magnetic monster, we did not see it. We saw like the plutonium through like these different like microscopes and everything else. And let me ask you
Yeah,
this
it's
here.
always through machines. Yeah, you're right. It's always
Right.
through some kind of machine.
Yeah. So in the American lab, they had this
Mhm.
thing they kept pushing in. And
Mhm.
the icon on that thing they kept pushing in, it looked like, a
Mhm.
German Nazi sort of sign. Did you see that? Right?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I
And
wasn't gonna say anything about it, but
right.
yeah, I saw it.
And
Yeah.
then when they went to Canada, because they had like
Mhm.
this thing that can generate like 600 million like votes. They
Mhm.
also had the Nazi symbol as well, right? It was red. I'm like, it had the white logo. I'm like,
Yeah,
yo,
right.
I'm
I was
like,
like,
is this,
that looks
what
that
is
looks
this?
interesting.
Yeah, I'm
Where'd they
just
get the
like,
props from?
yeah. But you know what? So I was just like, okay, that's kind of interesting. But again,
Mhm.
this was a film that was an hour and a half long. Do you know how many days it took me to watch this film?
I
Days.
cause I always say a week almost. It had to be close to a
Four
week where it's
days.
like it
4 days,
I
dude.
it took a minute, and I started watching because I did an event the night I was going to go watch it. So I was like, I'm gonna come home 3 o'clock in the morning, knock this old classic movie out, go to sleep. Then we're gonna be good to go. I started. I was like, oh no, oh this is not gonna work. Like, I go sleep. I have to go to sleep now. I can't. Normally, if it's a classic movie and it's like good characters or good acting, like
Right.
I'll stay up. I'm in it.
Mhm.
But like, oh my god, man, it was rough. Especially the sciencey stuff. I think for for old
Excuse me.
time movies, they can't do science. They do because I've watched a bunch of like classic murder mysteries. They got a police detective on the scene, and those things are great, like a Casablanca or something like that. I've seen a bunch of those. I love those kind of movies. The sciencey stuff bothers me.
With
It
this movie, right?
bothers me. Yeah, it's always like this you guys don't know anything about science.
There
It
was
sounds so bad.
absolutely no scientific cohesion to the magnetic monster. It was just like,
No.
okay, they're putting this thing again. It was always this small, but they kept saying that it's getting larger. How is it getting larger if it's still this
In their
small?
brain.
Right.
'Cause the other thing is like it should have done they should have picked different types of damage. Like like people were getting sick, but no one really got sick except the guy that died in the apartment building.
Yeah.
And I think like two other people died, but like it was more so because of other factors. You don't really know why the other guy died in the apartment building above the store. You don't really know how he died. You just know he died. He said some kind of poisoning, but like it was vague. I feel like they had too grandiose of an idea about something, and if
It's
they
too much.
restrained it a little bit
Yeah,
with the budget and the things that are capable for
that's
1958.
true.
Like you could have pulled off something more interesting and
Right.
more, you know what I'm saying? Like it should have been like a couple rooms and the scientific thing. Like just simplify it. Just make it a little simple and easier because it didn't. So the problem with sciencey movies back then is that they don't have the budget to do stuff that we just throw away today.
Yeah.
Like stuff I could do on my phone
It wasn't like a
today
Space
for
Odyssey,
sciencey.
which had like a $4 million budget over four
Yeah,
years. You know what I'm
but
saying?
Space Odyssey looks like they had $4 million over
Right.
4 years. Like
Mhm.
it looks like that. You can't tell anybody. You can watch that movie today and be like, "Well, that looks like they spent some money on that. Like
Right.
that looks interesting." Like just people floating in space. Like that's hard to do, especially back then when they didn't even have the green screen technology and stuff to do that. It was hard to do. It was very hard to do.
And you know what else they
But
kept talking about? They kept talking about how like the magnetic monster was
mm,
destroying buildings, but we never saw a destroyed building.
where? Where they at?
Like
Like I didn't see anything.
right, and they were just like it was destroyed from the inside out, and I'm just like so it basically collapsed inwards, right? And I'm just like,
Mhm.
you know what? Show us that, right? But
Yeah.
again, I kind of believe I kind of agree with you that looking at this film, hour and
Mhm.
15 minutes, it's available on Amazon.
Mhm.
That the budget may have been $20 for real. I think that this
It
budget,
was a set for sure. Well, like, they had a couple outdoor stuff, but like
yeah,
generally it was pretty simple. And like it's an interesting movie from the concept of the concept that they're trying to do. Like they're trying to do detective agency solving riddles
right.
and stuff like that.
OSI,
And
the
like
Office of
yeah,
Scientific
yeah.
Investigation.
No, but that's that when the movie started, I was like, oh, okay, this could be cool.
Mhm.
I like the like scientific stuff. They got an agency running around trying to solve things. That sounds interesting to me. And then it just kind of got silly and pointless, and there was no purpose to what the office was doing, and like the science they understood. Like they didn't have the budget for it. It was in the wrong decade because you know what I'm saying. Like there's the ability to do things to film it wasn't there.
Was it?
So they're just like, yo, we got $20, man.
You
We
know,
gotta make this work.
yo, and you know what else? The misogyny of this film is just like,
Bro.
oh boy kept calling his, oh boy kept saying to his wife, why his wife who was pregnant, why aren't you getting fat? He was saying
Like,
this
get
to a
fat,
woman,
chick.
right? Why aren't
It's
you
like,
getting
get
fat?
fat.
Right? It's just
And
like,
then
what are you
she
talking
said
about?
at the end of the movie, she's like, "I'm getting fatter." He's like, "Yeah, good job there."
Yeah,
Like,
just
yo,
like,
I laughed for
come
5 minutes
on.
on that.
You know, and then they were calling women like honey, hey honey. You know, it's just like you can't do that today. I mean, like, you can't ask a woman. I wouldn't like again. I'm a person who has a boatload of sisters, right? You
Mm,
can't ask a woman her age. Well, it's not that you can't, but you know, there's decorum.
you shouldn't.
There's
It's gonna end bad
decorum.
for you.
Right.
For you.
There's decorum. You don't ask a woman her age. You don't ask
Mm,
a woman her weight. You know, there are there
yes.
are things, certain things that you do not ask today in 2025. Now, in the 50s,
Yes.
totally different.
Mm,
Totally different, dude. This is when women were going to
mm,
secretarian school, you know, to become a secretary, you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
not an
yeah, yeah.
administrative assistant, a
Oh no,
secretary.
you're a you're a flight attendant. No, it was a what's the use the term?
A flight
It was a flight
stewardess.
attendant. Stewardess,
Yes.
yes.
Mhm.
You were a stewardess back then
Right.
or a secretary?
Oh,
Or you were working the
and
phones?
even back then, if you wanted to become a flight stewardess,
Mhm.
there were certain things like certain criterias. First of all, you had to be of a
You had to
certain
start you had to look.
you had to look a certain way. You had to be of a certain weight, a certain height.
That was a thing,
TWA
man.
is the TWA is the airline who
Yeah.
sort of like put this
Yeah,
into place.
they put that thing out there, and
Right.
everyone was probably basically, they were Hooters back in the day. People were taking flights to see the stewardesses.
Right.
That's a fact, right? That is a fact.
Hooters.
They were actually going.
Hooters in the
Oh, we
air.
flying this. We're going to New York right now. For what? Don't worry about that. We're going to New York right now.
Exactly.
That's what that was.
The magnetic
So,
monster had no monster. And think about this. Think
yeah.
about this. The I guess the scientific part was this plutonium, which was that small, and they kept saying, "Look, people, it was that small," and people kept saying that it's getting bigger, but it was still
Mhm,
that small.
mhm,
The power that this plutonium had was it magnetized everything, and that was the premise of the
mhm.
entire movie.
Yes. Yes. This is one of those movies that if you made it today, it'd been 5 minutes. Do oh, we found the guy. He's over by the airplane. All right,
Right.
cool.
Come
Hey,
on.
stop the plane. It been like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We would have stopped right then and there. All done.
Yeah.
Everybody go home.
And
I love old movies because of that. Like,
right.
there's no way you could do this today with our technology. It's impossible.
And again, like this is a 1953 film. We already had like the
Mhm,
Second World War, which was in like the
mhm,
mid 40s. America
mhm.
dropped an atomic bomb twice. So the
Yeah.
Americans understood plutonium. They
Yes,
understood
this
it.
was not this wasn't a magical thing, a
No,
magical being from
exactly.
Winterland somewhere. Like, it's a thing they understand. They know how it works.
They understood it,
And
dude.
they general people understood how this thing works. So it's like it's a fascinating movie from the aspect of this is an old movie full of misogyny and science. Like,
Right.
that's what it is.
And
Misogyny, science, monster.
one last thing before we wrap it up. So when
Mhm.
they were in Canada and they were
Yeah.
1,700 feet below the
Mhm.
sea, and then the whole joint
Yeah.
flooded. I don't care if you have like quadruple steel doors and you're below like sea level. That
Was
water,
that
that is the
is all right.
most, the water is the most, one of the most powerful forces. That joint's gonna knock down brick, it's gonna knock down
Mhm.
cement, it's gonna knock down metal. And it didn't do that.
They'll bend it like nothing.
Yeah,
Especially back then with their technology, it would have bent it like nothing.
right.
Kick the
So
doors right open.
I mean, I love watching these. Like since we've been getting into these classic films, it's really a
Mhm.
cool way to like sort of escape from everything that's happening in like society.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and I really like that, and I appreciate that. But the magnetic monster,
It was a bit of a dud. It
it,
was a dud. Because you know what? You would want at least the acting's gonna be good, or at least the storyline's gonna be good, even though they don't have the budget to do some kind of thing. Like,
right?
at least that no, it was bad all around. I don't even think any of these actors are famous. Like, did any of them do anything after this movie? I don't think so.
Um, I don't think so.
I didn't I've seen a lot of old movies. I didn't recognize anybody out
I
of
didn't
this.
recognize any of them. I thought one guy looked like Yul Brynner, but then I was like, oh no, that's not Yul Brynner because Yul Brynner was a little shorter and a little stockier. He wasn't that tall.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I don't know. Like, this seems like it's one of those movies that it was like a movie you did in school. Like, hey, we got to put together a thing for our thesis, and then we're gonna graduate. We got to just make a movie real
yeah.
quick. Like,
Mhm.
it looked like a project, some kind of art house project, and they didn't understand science. They didn't
Mhm.
understand movies. Like, it
So
was like the plot points of the family. The guy's worried about his wife. Like, why would you put that in the movie? That's
he's
irrelevant.
worried about his
Didn't
wife
add to
not getting
anything.
fat.
I mean, it didn't add to no part of that storyline added to this movie. It made it
Nothing.
interesting or add to the plot points or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I was like, all right, this guy's married. Cool. That's the end. That's the last I need to see of her. He's married. All right,
That's
cool.
it. Yeah. It's so with these classic films, we really don't review them because they're classic films, and it's just a classic film.
Mm,
But
mm.
would you recommend? Would you at least recommend watching this film?
That's a no. It's a hard no.
Yeah.
And I even think watching it as if you're high wouldn't help. Like, the remember the movie we watched with the scientists that went in space, the astronauts,
Oh
and
yeah.
they came back and they were in the future?
Right.
Watching that movie high would have been
Oh, that's
spectacular.
yeah.
That was a great
That
movie high.
that may have happened.
Alright,
you know, that may have
don't
happened.
disagree with that.
You know.
That sounds like an awesome idea.
Oh,
This movie
no,
had there's no suspense, there's no action, there was no plot. It wasn't at least groundbreaking. They're doing something that's never
nothing
been done before
groundbreaking
in
about
film.
this. No.
There was nothing about it that I'm like, "Oh, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
This is fascinating." Even the filmmaking is like nothing out of this. This was just a movie that happened,
And
and they put some words on it.
you know what else I realized too? And one thing about these classic films are like the fashion is really dope, right? The fashion wasn't really
Mhm.
dope in this. Let me ask you this question before we wrap it
That's
up.
another thing. You're right.
Right.
You're right.
DJ Keo in the
Mhm.
50s. You are DJ Keo in the 50s. And this film is released. However,
Mhm.
there
Mhm.
is a really cool sock hop the same night that this
Mhm.
film premieres in the theater down the street. What do you
Yeah.
do? Do you go to the sock hop where there's bunny snacks, or or do you go to the theater, maybe even the drive-through theater to watch this film? Which one are you doing, the sock
I
hop
would
or the
I would
theater?
avoid I would avoid this movie like a plague, man.
Yeah.
I would be around
Mhm.
like, oh no, this movie's playing. We can't go to this side of town anymore. We gotta wait till this thing's out of the theaters,
Yeah.
and then we'll go over there. This movie was so forgettable. Like I normally when I watch this stuff, I'm thinking about plot points. I gotta write down, take notes, whatever.
Mhm.
Like nothing happened. Like it's
Nothing.
the movie where nothing happened of any substance. Nothing happened.
Nothing at
And
all.
I feel bad because I know how hard it is to make a movie, but good God, man,
Oh, wait
this
a
was
minute. Which movie are you talking about?
no the oh, yeah, exactly, yeah,
Exactly. I don't know what
exactly.
you're talking about because it's forgettable. We are talking about The
Mhm.
Magnetic Monster. This is a 1953 film. It's available on Amazon. It's only an hour and 15 minutes. And if you want to watch something that's sort of ridiculous and in black and white, go check it out.
We
Well,
don't need reviews. We're not gonna do a
no
review. We're
reviews
skip
for this
that.
film.
No review.
None.
It's bad. All
It's
right,
bad. It's
it's very
bad. It's
bad.
bad and it's dumb.